Okay, so we're live. This is our Pacific Rim US Standup. It's just me and Patrick today. Someone will show up. Patrick, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. So I made a scrum this morning. Martin Fowler, a lot of people on that. I had a pair programming session with Laura right after that for about an hour to get her story acceptance test working. This is the story regarding downloading a resume. And I've worked off and on during the day on the job update story, which in particular, updating the cruncher when a job update occurs. And I do have a blocker. I'm having trouble understanding the cruncher behavior that I'm seeing. So maybe we can look at that afterwards.
Okay, so for me today, so we had the MVP meeting this morning, and also we've been trying to help out people from the async voter. I created a commit for there. I also changed, did an update on the PR that I posted yesterday. That changes the hound configuration, and I did a PR today and merged it for the cruncher with the functionality that was not there, that should have been there. So that's that.
Did you take in the configuration that's being used by one of the other projects for the Hound thing?
No, I kind of forgot that. No, it was yesterday night, so I just tried to find out whatever I needed, and I found it and just set it there.
Yeah, I haven't looked at PRs in the last day or so, so I have to look at PRs either tonight or probably tomorrow at this point, including the star PR.
Okay. Oh, and from me, that's all.
Okay.
More.
All right. So you want to look at this thing now?
Ooh, they have a bunch of rules there.
This is a lot of configuration options. There's a lot of different cops, and each cop has their own config options.
Yeah, but they do have a bunch of them. A bunch. It's like 1,000 lines of configuration there.
Are you talking about website one or local support or one of those?
Support. Yeah.
Jesus. I guess they don't like all the defaults, huh?
I think they just copy pasted all the defaults and that's it.
Yeah, it's probably mostly default. I can't imagine they changed everything from default.
Okay, so they did the same change that I did. Okay, I'll try to create a PR with this. I don't know. Let's see.
Are you going to put in their default file?
I don't know. Just like they just copy pasted the file and changed some stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a smart way to do it. I think we could just go with the defaults for the most part.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll just keep what we have now and then we'll see. Okay, so you were having a problem with the cruncher?
Well, I don't know if it's the cruncher or the way I'm doing it, but let me So can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in the job model itself, we have this after save action called save to cruncher. And in that save, this is being called both in a create and an update context as being called within a transaction for either the save or the update that's occurring. And so what I'm doing is when we're saving a job, if there is a title or a description associated with the job. Then I'm trying to update the cruncher. And I used to not have this there. I'll block that up right now. If the idea was changing, that means it's new. It's a save operation, and we're calling job cruncher create. Otherwise, we're trying to update the job. If any any exception occurs below here in the API, then I capture it here, and I set some flags to tell me what's going on. But anyway, if I can't post to the cruncher, in other words, cruncher posted as false, then I just add an error to the model, and I raise active record invalid. So what I'm doing, let me undo this stuff. So this here is, if I'm trying to create a job and it fails, without an exception, it just returns false, then I go ahead and try to update an existing job. So I'm not sure this is the correct, most robust way to do it, but in our current environment, we have, for instance, our test database for acceptance testing zeroed out, but on the cruncher side, jobs persist. So this maybe have to suffice for a while, but that's not my main problem. So let me show you, I'm going to run a Cucumber scenario that's going to try to create a job.
Okay.
So I'll do this.
Do you have
and
one ID for it?
It's going to be ID 1.
Yeah, that will exist.
So what I've got here is I've got a debugger in both the update job as well as the create job. So we're going to stop twice here. So anyway, so here I am in create job. This is at the API level.
Okay.
And so we're going to go through this. I'm going to try to post a new job to the back end. And what comes back is, predictably enough, job already exists. Because of the disparity, of course, between the databases. So now I'm going to continue. And now I stop because of the logic. I'm going to try to do an update now. So go through this. And if you can see, job ID looks good. Title looks good. Description. So let's try to talk to the cruncher. And I come back with this, job not found. So you can see job ID 1. I can't create job ID 1 because it already exists. But when I try to update it, I get job not found for that ID.
Did you saw what happened there? Did you saw Slack?
No. What's Slack do? I was focusing on job ID null does not exist. Interesting. So here's how I construct the URL. Why it's getting null in there, because I've definitely put in an ID in there. I didn't notice that. That's interesting. I guess that's Sentry's earning its keep. Yeah, so it looks like it's been happening earlier. Yeah.
Okay, so the update, job ID update, and then job with job ID. That's the error, right? That we have job with job ID does not show up. Job with job ID no, do not exist. So job ID, job ID. That is strange. But it should work. I can do a change in the cruncher, and eventually that might solve the problem. But this is very strange. Let me just see the logs to make sure. Okay, so OpenShift. App root logs cruncher.
Very unstable.
Oh, you're back.
Yep.
I'm missing a log here. Am I not printing debug? Why is this debug? Makes sense. Oh, that plus return handler. Hmm. Trying to post. Authenticate. Am I doing trace here? I must do trace. Yeah, trace. Okay. This is pretty strange. Have you tried to do it with um, something like that?
You mean with the console?
Mm-hmm.
I did, but I had trouble getting the patch or the post to work in console.
Oh no,
With the,
you're using always the console.
yeah, yep.
Okay.
It complains about post it didn't like and patch it didn't like either for some reason.
Okay, so I'm gonna do a change on the cruncher.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't need to do this, but for some reason Spring is not behaving as it's supposed to. Because the thing is, if you put like a variable name and put the same variable name inside the URL, it should automatically map.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
something is happening there, and apparently it's not matching directly. So I really don't know. Test for that.
Well, it's I do have a situation where it's working. So when we try to download a file, we take a file ID and I attach the file ID obviously to the end of the URL. It's not in the middle of the URL, it's at the end. So it's /resume/ID. And I haven't had a problem with that at all.
Problem's not. I believe it's not there. Oh, but I do have a test, and it is working. Okay. I know why. Let me try to check this. If I remove this, let me just run this test, this batch of tests. Okay, so it's working. If I remove the param and rerun it again. Yeah, it's getting the same problem here. Okay, so I'll correct this here and just do a push.
Well, it's reassuring to see that you're seeing the same problem that I am. So that's good.
So X path. Job center this region. Was there any reason for you to do that unless there? The one for
So we're trying to create a job on the cruncher, and if the cruncher comes back with well, a failure, it doesn't raise an exception, of course, but it might be job already exists. So when that happens, I try to update the job instead, because by definition, unless we have a way to clear out the cruncher MongoDB before we start our tests, we're always going to be out of sync.
Mm-hmm.
And in production, it's going to be tricky to try to keep everything in sync. By the way, we're going to need a story, so if we delete a job or a resume, we delete the cruncher side object as well. I don't think we're doing that. I know we're not doing that actually right now. We don't necessarily need it right away, but it's one of the things we have to build.
Okay. Oh, this is wrong. Path parameters. Okay. So you're saying that in production it will be hard to keep in sync? There's no reason for it to happen because
Well,
it's the Pets application that rules everything. And from the
maybe
moment
hard is not the right term, but we have to
from
be
the moment
careful.
that from the moment that we start the application in a Postgres database that will be final, the numbers will always increment there.
Can we delete a job right now? I don't know if we can.
I don't think so.
So yeah. So it's all deferred. If we can't delete jobs and we can't, basically we can't delete resumes, we can overwrite a resume. We should be okay.
Yeah.
Then as we expand our operations, we have to make sure that we do it in sync between the front end and the back end, which is not necessarily trivial actually, but it's kind of tricky code, I think.
this thing to generate the documentation sometimes. It's a pain.
You have to do some of that manually, right?
No, not really. So I got a library that will generate the documentation for me,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes doesn't cooperate and gives some strange errors. And so now I'm fighting an error with that happened with the documentation.
Oh, I see. While you're at it, you may want to update a note there for update a job. So you have a success section, and then you have a response section where you have an example. You say example create job with ID that already exists, but the example is actually showing up trying to update a job that can't be found.
Hmm.
Hopefully nobody pays attention to the text and they look at the actual code there, but anyway, it's a minor thing.
I really didn't understand what you said, so let me just finish this here,
Yeah, sorry.
and I'll go back to you.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So this documentation to do use last documentation. Okay. Okay. Oh, just give me a second.
Sure.